Austin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Austin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. People have to wonder, where does Sunny Austin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican.
I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep.
What if the individual who spent years teaching Americans about racial justice was also profiting from the system they were criticizing? Sunny Austin has been a prominent voice on The View for many years, consistently exposing institutional racism, privilege, and injustice. She has called on those who she believes have profited from historical injustices to answer for their actions. She has dedicated her professional life to counseling others on how to handle their dad's wrongdoings. However, what if she is being targeted because of her family history? Just now, that is precisely what took place. Because in a seemingly inevitable dramatic turn of events, Sunny Austin has found something that totally puts into doubt her credibility. Simply, racism will eventually find you if you spend your life searching everywhere. It was also in Sunny's own family tree.
I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living on the back.
She gives talks and engages in debate. Regarding racism, reparations, and privilege, she positions herself as the moral expert. There is a clear division between the oppressors and the oppressed in her universe. If you were connected to historical injustice, you also need to apologize, admit your privilege, and express regret. She accuses politicians, celebrities, and even her own co-hosts of being uninformed, outdated, or involved in structural injustice. She is especially fervent about reparations, calling on all those with a history of slavery to accept responsibility and work to make amends. However, this is the crucial query. If the individual who threw the stones resided in a glass house, what would happen? What would happen if she discovered that the system she condemns has a strong connection to her family history? However, we only recently learned.
Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Austin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant.
Sunny Austin recently made an appearance on the popular PBS show Finding Your Roots, where celebrities work with genealogists to discover their heritage. She probably anticipated leaving with an inspirational tale of persecuted ancestors overcoming adversity or a story of tenacity. One must, after all, be actively involved in the fight against racial injustice in order to speak out against it. Not true. Her actual discovery is still being discussed because it was stunning, unsettling, and obviously sarcastic. Instead of a history of tyranny, Sunny learned that her ancestors had not been slaves. They were the criminals. Her forefathers had slaves. You did really hear correctly. Sunny Houston, a fervent supporter of reparations, recently discovered that the system she criticizes benefited her own family. Her reaction was one of utter surprise. She stumbled, blinked, and had trouble putting words together. I simply didn't believe that my ancestors were originally Spanish or that they had slaves. The resulting awkward silence was awful. Sunny Austin was quiet for the first time.
Only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly, it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she does.
Yeah, how do you know all this?
Yeah,
You don't know all this.
Allegedly, that's
The internet quickly became popular. Jokes and memes were all over Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and many people were pointing out how hypocritical it was. Greg Gutfeld quickly made fun of her by telling a joke that made his audience laugh. It's like discovering that a vegan secretly runs a barbecue business. Commentators on Fox News went on to describe it as the quintessential case of discrimination. Then the memes appeared. Among the most well-liked? Sunny is shown writing a reparations check in a photo that has been edited. The online jokes were funny, but that wasn't the only problem. It was a hypocritical act. When Sunny's own family history was revealed, she rejected the years she had spent holding other people accountable for the deeds of their ancestors. An anxious shrug and turn,
People
with
have
no
to wonder,
apology
where does
or
Sunny Hostin
introspection.
get her opinions? Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist.
The most urgent issue was immediately apparent to critics. Sunny's entire career has been based on the belief that race determines everything since, regardless of one's accomplishments, the past must be made right. However, the rules appear to be breached when it's her turn to accept accountability. Lawrence O'Donnell of MSNBC said, "This is what happens when you focus so much on race, you lose sight of the individual and the nuance, and eventually it backfires." This poses an important query. Has the situation changed and Sunny is now exempt, or does she deserve to be examined as closely as she has examined others? How did her other View co-hosts respond, then? Complete avoidance, awkward silence, and no meaningful words. It seems that even the astute Whoopi Goldberg was unwilling to confront the issue. She reportedly considered saying, "Sunny, would you like me to get you coffee? Or ought we to request a refill from your slave-owning forebears?" Sunny had hoped for empowerment, and this was definitely not it. Rather, it revealed a brutal reality. Perhaps she was unaware of her identity from the start. Sunny is not the only one who worries about the perils of being self-righteous. History is, in fact, disorganized, complex, and unsettling. Moreover, its darkness envelopes even the loudest yells on the vista. Sunny might have gained more respect if she had taken advantage of the chance to speak candidly about accountability. Instead, she ducked and dodged, hoping no one would notice. Because racism will eventually be seen everywhere in your life if you look for it, this story will not be forgotten. It was concealed in Sunny's own family tree, too. How do you feel? Is this just one more instance of the hypocritical standards of the elite? Should Sunny face consequences for her hypocrisy? Use the comment section to share your opinions. To ensure you don't miss anything, please hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy this analysis. To ensure you don't miss the next time a famous person is made public, please hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy this analysis.